Greetings, friends. This is Elizabeth Schermer with a full moon message on an incredibly auspicious day. Today I'm recording this on the day of the Capricorn full moon and lunar eclipse on July 16th. There's a big message. The energies are incredibly complex, and I'm going to do my best to synthesize some key principles for you so that you have an understanding of the reasons for the intensity that we're experiencing and why this is incredibly opportunistic, incredibly auspicious, incredibly fortunate. And the more intensity an experience holds, the more important I believe it is to have some key principles to connect so that you can understand intensity you're feeling and take advantage of the opportunities that are in present. Intensity is not a bad thing. So this eclipse has some complexity, it has some intensity, and it has a huge opportunity to make really big and very lasting shifts in your life, to initiate those shifts. It doesn't mean implosion or explosion. It means connecting with the momentum and participating in something that will be unfolding for days, years, perhaps lifetimes and generations to come. This is really a big signature right now. So feel curiosity, feel excitement, and the blessing of being here in this amazing time on Earth. So having said that, I'd like to start with just a reminder of, I'm going to use some tarot cards today, and I'm going to show you some charts, and just to help you, especially those of you who follow astrology and or tarot, to give you some symbols that help to communicate the signatures of what's happening right now. So when I pulled the tarot spread for the Cancer new moon 2 weeks ago, we received an incredibly strategic message about the affirmation of the significance of this time. And in the 4-card spread, we received the Universe and the Fool. The Universe was the central card in the spread, and the Fool was crossing it. If you know the deck, you know this is the first card of the deck. This is the last card of the deck. And so these two cards symbolize a beginning and an ending. The Universe symbolizes you stepping into your own self-actualization and a kind of a completion of a cycle. And then the Fool represents a new birth and a beginning again. So this is both personal and our collective. We are completing a cycle. I'm feeling emotional right now as I say that. We are bringing forward our history, and we are bringing forward all that we've learned as a collective. We are owning it, and we are claiming it, and we're integrating it in order to step in now to an entirely new possibility. Now, this happens every day when we wake up. It happens every night when we go to sleep. We bring forward our day, integrate our day, and then in the morning we wake up to new potential. So we're continually going through this cycle. Right now we really do happen to be in a big historic threshold. And so the main thing we know, we always understand history from looking back, but the main thing we know right now is that we feel the bigness. And if we look only outside, things can feel chaotic, especially on the world stage and in the culture and even environmental systems. Human systems, environmental systems are under big change. And so it's easy to feel confused or fearful because it feels chaotic. There's an incredible power with this lunar cycle to help you connect back within so you don't get thrown off by the change that's happening all around, but remain anchored within so that you can participate in the change and be part of the new birth. It's very exciting. So the symbol right now for Cancer, the month of Cancer that we're in, is the Chariot. And this is a card that holds a meaning for us of coming home. So the theme of this current lunar cycle is coming home to a new sense of self and a new quality of self-confidence and integration and an ability to feel and see the difference between inner truth and outer truth, so that we can rely on our alignment with Source and our trust, and that we can feel secure here and feel at home. And from that place of feeling at home within, the Cancer lunar cycle is a time every year to ground in that. We are able then to participate in whatever's happening in our world. So I'd like to just show you quickly and one more detail before I show you. This other significant aspect of the current lunar cycle of coming home to ourself and a new, stronger sense of individualism and inner authority is that we had a solar eclipse with that Cancer new moon. And what that means is when the sun goes into shadow at a solar eclipse, what's illuminated, the light within is what's illuminated. In mystical traditions, we call this the Shekinah, the light of life within, and the sacred light of life. And so solar eclipses illuminate what's been hidden within. Some of what's illuminated are patterns that of distortion, or things that we haven't seen before that aren't in alignment with truth. It illuminates all of what's been hidden. And most important is what's been hidden about our own realizations of the truth of who we are. So that's the big theme of this month, is the revelation of what's been hidden. And so all about inner authority, inner truth, the strength of self in order to show up and participate. So the showing up piece is what the full moon is about. So I want to just show you the intensity of this moon can fully be anchored in your own body. And for me, it helps me to understand what's being anchored when I can align with the signatures of what's actually going on right now. So in an astrology chart, the Cancer activates what we call the nadir of the year, and Capricorn activates what we call the midheaven of the year. And in your body, what that connects with is your root chakra and your crown chakra. This happens every full moon. So every full moon, there's the Nine of Wands shows this. Every full moon, there's an activation of light above, grounded into light below, and the ability to experience and see and feel yourself in a new way. This happens every month. What happens when Cancer and Capricorn come into opposition with the sun and moon is a new level of awareness of what this really means, a new quality of coming home to yourself and connecting to the light within the earth and the light within yourself, your root chakra, your grounding in your home and your security. And then above, and with the light of this full moon, what you're receiving is new awareness of the truth of your own power and your commitment to contribution and participation. That's the illuminated aspect of Capricorn, is the inspiration to contribute, to participate in something larger than yourself from the truth of what you value. Capricorn has a bad rap because of the way in which that power of participation and authority in the world has been abused for control. And so the amazing quality of this current full moon is an activation of what this life is about, which is taking power back, dismantling systems of control in order for true freedom and individualism and creativity to flourish, and for us to build new structures that are more equitable and based on freedom and life and liberty for all. So that is the, without exaggeration, that's the signature of this moon. So I want to show you that it's an activation of what this life is about, what this period in history is about. See all these strong red lines. This is not just, there's always a red line here at the full moon. It's called an opposition, and it means an activation of contrast, of what's being illuminated when the sun and moon are opposite. What's happening now is a gathering of energies to support this opposition. So astrologically, especially the sun and the North Node and Venus are directly in opposition to the moon and to Saturn and to Pluto. And so this quality of concentration of these oppositions is what's creating this intensity. And the intensity is because of the awareness of what's being revealed. It's not a bad thing. Oppositions are not a bad thing. Oppositions are when we learn and receive new awareness and new understanding, so that we can grow and change and evolve. So this full moon, because it's accompanied with an eclipse, is especially significant in the quality of what's being revealed. A lunar eclipse, when the earth comes between the sun and the moon is temporarily cut off from the sun's light, and the moon is the holder of rhythms and time and the carrier of cycles for us so that we can grow and change over time. When the moon is temporarily suspended, time is temporarily suspended. So what happens at a lunar eclipse is an opening of quantum potential and quantum possibility. So what happens is a new signature enters the earth and enters our foundation, and then that new signature unfolds over time. The more this happens whether or not we know it. The more we know what's happening, the more we can show up and be part of that process of new creation. So that's what this message is about today, understanding the new creation. So a strong signature of intensity. And then if you can see these two beautiful blue lines on either side are creating a structure that's holding it. I'm seeing this almost as a temple structure, and that's holding the space. And the arms of the temple, the walls of the temple are built with Jupiter and Neptune, who are the holders of consciousness. So there's a container of new consciousness that is holding space for amazing change. There's a dismantling happening right now of old structures, and the punchline of this eclipse is that because it's the south node, the past that is being activated and released, this is a liberation. These oppositions and the change that's coming is liberating us from the past. When I meditated this morning on a word for the signature of this moon, I received the message of freedom and liberation. And I literally, in my vision, saw prison walls falling away and people emerging into the sunlight from being in a prison for a long, long time. So this gave me my own symbol of how to hold space for the degree of change we have. We are being liberated from the past. The past is over. There's a new beginning, a new birth, a new earth. And that universe fool marriage of the message of this month is an affirmation that we're stepping into a new place. And we have the opportunity to participate and contribute to this new birth on the leading edge of creation. So what I'd like to do quickly is just show you the spread that I pulled for the new moon, and when you can feel the bigness of this. When I went to the cards a few minutes ago after my meditation, and I asked for a practical message to give us to affirm where we are and to give us courage and confidence to just hold the truth of what we know, because in our being we know this is true. The challenge is that we've been trained to respond to outer circumstances. And if we use outer circumstances as our database for where to go forward right now, it's super confusing, because outer circumstances are in disarray in many ways. And there's lots of good in the world. There's also lots of change. There's lots of dismantling. There's lots of pain right now. And it's hard to know where to focus. However, when we learn to focus within and trust our alignment to the light, and remember that's the specific signature of this full moon, anchoring above and below, when we are able to move within and use our tools to connect to our own inner truth and our own home and security, then we can receive the guidance from that alignment to know how we can participate and show up, which is our impulse. How can we be part of this change, and how can we fulfill our own purpose here? So this moon is giving us a new step in that alignment. So I went to the cards, I meditated, and these cards just flew out of the spread a few minutes ago. So the card in the center, and they're very practical. The card in the center for the point of focus, point of awareness, is the Four of Wands, completion. Completion of a cycle and the beginning of something new. This four is not static, it's a wheel. And the message here with this is a symbols of Aries, and this has to do with it's Venus in Aries, and so the ram and the dove are symbolizing showing up in our power and courage and confidence. That's the fire from our heart. There is no better way to summarize how to find your stance right now. Show up, commit, use your willpower, to use your will to align within, to return to calm and inner quiet, and feel the truth and strength of your heart and your love, and you will know what to do. And so this completion is a quality of integration, and in this card it also does signal, in this spread it signals that we really are at the end of a cycle and the beginning of something new. And so there's an initiation here for those of us who are ready. The card in the position of circumstances is the Lovers. And this is super significant right now because it's about coming into relationship with the truth of what is. And the most important aspect of this card for today is that this is the card of Gemini, and Gemini loves contrast. Gemini is the zodiac sign of learning how to come into relationship with life through contrast. The ability to look at patterns, to look at symbols, to look at images, to experience them, come fully into relationship with them in order to come into full relationship with ourself. So the marriage represented on this card is the marriage of self with self, and the marriage of polarity and the union and integration of polarity. So there's a beautiful message here that's very practical. Trust the completion of what is happening. Trust that we are in a new birth, and that you can show up for the new birth and participate in the new birth by connecting to your inner truth and through your will and your courage, which is vast and infinite. And then go to your heart and feel what matters. Your heart will lead you. Your heart is stronger. It's infinitely stronger. Your heart is connected to the source of all that is. And so the more you can learn to find that fire within your heart, the more you will be led through what you value. Venus is very strongly influenced in the chart right now, and there's a commitment to the truth of what you value and the ability to follow through on that. And then explore contrast, celebrate contrast. Imagine yourself, one of the images here, and one of the images that I'm holding with this spread is being a pioneer, and how exciting it is to be a pioneer. It can be scary, but that's the adventure of being a pioneer. A pioneer loves adventure and loves risk and loves to explore, and that's the card for circumstances right now. Explore the contrast, explore what's being revealed. And there's a very powerful synchronicity here. The Eight of Swords reversed was in the same position in the spread 2 weeks ago. This card is called interference. It represents the quality of analysis and our ability to use our imagination to look at patterns. The shadow side of looking at patterns is overanalyzing and getting lost in the forest for the trees. However, reversed in the position of spirit right now, it has the same message as it did 2 weeks ago, which is use the power of your imagination to align you with what inspires you, but don't and release attachment to the details. You do not have to know how things are going to unfold. Just celebrate the complexity and the beauty, and know that spirit and source and your higher self have the bigger perspective. We don't have to have it. That's not even our job here. We don't have the bigger perspective. We're here to allow and participate in the unfolding. And so the more we can align with inner truth, the more we can find the next step on the path. And that's the adventure of being in a body on earth right now. And so the punchline is is that emphasis. We got the card that I use for full moon and for energy medicine. The Nine of Wands as the fourth card is saying, yes, just our job is to now use our tools. This card is called Strength, and it represents being coherent within. It represents us being in our aligned will, so that we feel clear and strong and confident no matter what's happening. And an additional card fell out of the deck. I asked if there was anything else, if there were any other punchlines. This felt very complete. And the additional card was the affirmation, the star, that we are indeed on our path of fulfillment. And this is also a planetary card because it's the card for Aquarius. And we're moving into a new age. There's no doubt. It's happening. We are here. We came for this. So in the coming days, just commit today. You don't have to know what's going to happen. Just whenever you hear this message, feel the truth of the perfection of what is. You don't have to know what's going to happen. You don't have to do it all. Your job, my job, our job is to be present, to be and to explore our own life using the tools we have, and to trust in the perfection of the unfolding. This eclipse says the past is over. We are liberated from what has held us in bondage. It's making me emotional, and that means that when this happens, when I'm speaking something, my body is saying this is true. You can trust this. I can trust it. The past is over. So this is a time to celebrate new birth and hold space for the birth. We are pioneers on the leading edge. When we step into new birth, there can be a lot of confusion and disorientation. So hold space for people who are on the front lines of change, people who are in the middle of circumstances that are painful, people who are experiencing suffering. We are a collective family, and we are in a cycle of birth. And so all the spectrum of birth is here now. So each of us does what we can do in our own life. And the more we are committed and connected and tapped in above and below, the more we are participating beyond what we will ever know. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the message. And thank you for being a pioneer and stepping into this adventure of life. This is Elizabeth Schermer on the Capricorn full moon eclipse. Blessings to you.